Jai Gurudev and Namaste, and thank you for joining us today. We are honored to speak with you about one of the most powerful and revered avatars of Lord Vishnu, Lord Narasimha. Can you begin by explaining who Narasimha is and why he is so significant in Hinduism? Jai Gurudev, Namaste, and thank you for having me. Lord Narasimha is indeed one of the most significant and awe-inspiring avatars of Lord Vishnu. He is a half-man, half-lion form symbolizing a divine intervention that transcends all forms of worldly constraints. Narasimha incarnated to protect his devotee Prahlada from the tyranny of his father, the demon king Hiranyakashipu, who was empowered by a boon that made him nearly indestructible. Narasimha's appearance was a form of divine justice, fierce and protective, yet filled with compassion. His very form of lion-headed man breaks the ordinary limits of what we might expect from divine intervention, symbolizing that God's power is beyond the comprehension of the human mind. That is fascinating. Could you elaborate on the story of Prahlad and Hiranyakashipu and how Narasimha's intervention unfolded? Absolutely, the story of Prahlad and Hiranyakashipu is crucial in understanding Narasimha's purpose. Hiranyakashipu was a mighty king who had gained a boon from Lord Brahma that made him invulnerable to death. He couldn't be killed by man or beast during the day or night, indoors or outdoors, by any weapon. His tyranny grew unbearable, and his hatred for Vishnu reached new heights when his son Prahlada became a devoted devotee of Lord Vishnu. Hiranyakashipu tried everything to convince Prahlad to abandon his faith, including sending him into dangerous situations and even attempting to kill him. But Prahlada remained steadfast. Ultimately, in his rage and frustration, Hiranyakashipu asked, "Where is your Vishnu? Is he in this pillar?" Prahlad calmly replied that Vishnu is omnipresent. At that moment, the pillar shattered and Lord Narasimha emerged, a terrifying form with the body of a man and the head of a lion. Neither man nor beast, he was neither day. It was neither day nor night. As Narasimha appeared at twilight, the in-between time, he tore apart Hiranyakashipu with his claws, fulfilling the conditions of the boon. This event demonstrated that no force, no matter how powerful, can escape divine justice. It's a remarkable story. What do you think are the key lessons that we can draw from Narasimha's incarnations and his victory over Hiranyakashipu? There are several profound lessons that we can learn from this story, especially in contemporary times. First, the story emphasizes the power of unwavering devotion. Prahlada, despite being raised in an environment of hatred towards Vishnu, remained true to his faith. In today's world, where we often face temptations to deviate from our principles of or spiritual practices, Prahlada's unwavering commitment teaches us the importance of inner conviction. Second, Narasimhas represents the ideal of divine protection in moments of fear, distress, uh, and when facing overwhelming obstacles. We can take solace in the belief that the divine intervention can occur in the most unexpected forms. Narasimha's appearance in a form that no one anticipated teaches us that solutions to our problems may come in ways we don't foresee. Trusting the divine means trusting that everything will unfold in the right manner. Third, the story highlights the idea of cosmic justice. Hiranyakashipu, despite his boons and apparent invulnerability, was ultimately subject to the law of dharma. In today's world, we often see injustice and wrongdoing, but the lesson here is that no evil goes unchallenged. Justice may come in unexpected ways, but it will come, and the moral order will prevail. In terms of contemporary relevance, do you think that there are modern parallels to the story of Narasimha, especially regarding the themes of good versus evil or the triumph of devotion? Yes, there are certainly parallels on a personal level. The story reflects our internal battles between the higher and the lower aspects of our nature. Just as Prahlada had to face his father's tyranny, we often confront negative forces within ourselves, our ego, doubts, or distractions. The Narasimha Avatar encourages us to overcome these forces with devotion and faith in the divine. On a societal level, the tale represents the fight against oppression and corruption. It mirrors the struggles we face when individuals or groups misuse their power, exploiting others. Just as Hiranyakashipu's reign of terror was brought to an end, we must believe that injustice, even in modern times, will ultimately be corrected. Narasimha's intervention reminds us that there is always hope and we should not lose faith even when circumstances seem overwhelming. Jai Gurudev, and thank you for such a detailed and insightful discussion. To conclude, what would be your key message for today's generation from the Narasimha story? The key message is to hold steadfast in your values, just as Prahlada did, and trust that the divine will intervene in the most miraculous of ways when needed. In this world of uncertainty and conflict, we must maintain our spiritual integrity, seek justice, and believe that the higher powers will guide us, whether in our personal lives or in our societal struggles. The Narasimha Avatar is a reminder that truth and righteousness will always find a way to triumph. That's a powerful message. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today. Thank you. It is my privilege to share these teachings. May we all find strength in the example of Prahlad's devotion and the divine protection of Narasimha. Jai Gurudev. Jai Gurudev, Namaste, and thank you for joining us today. We are honored to have you here to talk about Lord Narasimha, one of the most powerful and important avatars of Lord Vishnu. To begin, can you please introduce us to Narasimha and why he holds such a crucial place in Hindu tradition? Namaste and Jai Gurudev, and thank you for the opportunity to share insights. Lord Narasimha is one of the 10 principal avatars, Dash avatars of Lord Vishnu, and his appearance is one of the most striking. He is depicted as being with a body of a man and the head of a lion. The incarnation of Narasimha is unique because it transcends the limitations of conventional forms, neither fully human nor fully animal. He embodies the idea that the divine operates beyond human understanding and is present in every aspect of existence. Narasimha's incarnation came about to protect his devotee Prahlada, a young prince who was devoted to Vishnu. Despite his father, the demon king Hiranyakashipu, forbidding it, Hiranyakashipu, after receiving a boon that made him nearly invincible, grew tyrannical and tried to kill his son, Prahlada. Narasimha's intervention was necessary because in his form he could defeat Hiranyakashipu, fulfilling the conditions of the boon while maintaining cosmic order. Yes, the story of Prahlada and his father Hiranyakashipu is very intense and full of symbolism. Could you explain the events leading up to Narasimha's emergence and what it represents? Yes, the story of Prahlada and Hiranyakashipu is a fascinating one. Hiranyakashipu, after performing intense penance, received a boon from Lord Brahma that made him immune to death by any living being at any time. In any place, his reign was one of oppression, and his hatred of Vishnu grew as his son Prahlada became an ardent devotee of Vishnu. Despite his father's wrath and many attempts to kill him, including poisoning, pushing him into fire, and sending him into the path of venomous snakes, Prahlada remained unharmed as he had divine protection. In a fit of frustration, Hiranyakashipu questioned Prahlada, asking if Vishnu was everywhere, even in a pillar. Prahlada answered affirmatively, which led to Hiranyakashipu striking the pillar in anger. In that moment, Lord Narasimha appeared, emerging from the pillar in a terrifying form, with the body of a man and the head of a lion. At twilight, the in-between time, he was neither man nor beast, neither day nor night. In this form, Narasimha killed Hiranyakashipu by tearing him apart with his claws, fulfilling the conditions of the boon. This event highlights divine justice and protection. Lord Vishnu's incarnations often come in times of great distress, showing that divine intervention is assured when good is under threat. Yes, the Narasimha's avatar certainly represents divine justice. In your opinion, what key messages can we learn from this story, especially in today's world? Yes, there are several profound lessons we can take from Narasimha's incarnation, especially for contemporary life. Firstly, unwavering devotion. Prahlad's steadfast devotion to Vishnu, despite his father's persecution, teaches us the importance of staying true to our values and principles even in the face of adversity. In today's world, where we often encounter temptations and distractions, his story reminds us to hold firm to our beliefs and spirituality. Divine justice, Narasimha's appearance, and the punishment of Hiranyakashipu represent the triumph of justice, reminding us, though no matter how powerful or entrenched evil seems, it will ultimately be overcome by divine law. In a time where we see corruption, oppression, and injustice in many forms, Narasimha's intervention symbolizes that truth will always prevail, even when it feels impossible. Then faith in the unexpected. The form in which Narasimha appears is entirely unexpected, reminding us that divine intervention may not come in the way we expect. This teaches us to have faith and trust that the divine will act necessarily, often in ways beyond our comprehension or imagination. It is a call to keep faith and trust in the universe, even when we are unable to see a clear path forward. Protection in times of crisis. Narasimha is a fierce protector, and his appearance during times of distress shows that the divine is always watching over us. In contemporary times, when individuals or communities face turmoil, Narasimha's story treasures and reassures us that there is divine protection and that we are not alone in our struggles. That's a very insightful perspective. Can you share any modern day parallels where the lessons of Narasimha's stories could apply to real life situations, particularly in fighting injustice or personal struggles? Yes, there are many parallels that we can draw from. On a personal level, individuals often face inner demons, self doubt, ego, and negative tendencies, just as Prahlada faced the tyrannical force of his father. The Narasimha story urges us to conquer our inner battles with faith and strength, similar to how Prahlada did, trusting that the divine will protect and guide us. In terms of societal struggles, the fight against oppression is a common theme. In modern day context, people often encounter systematic injustice, whether in politics, workplaces, or communities. The story of Narasimha teaches us that no matter how powerful the force of evil or injustice are, they will not prevail in the long run. It's a reminder to stand up against wrongdoings, have faith in the process of justice, and trust that change will come even if it appears difficult or delayed. Moreover, on a global scale, issues like corruption, war, and environmental destruction might seem insurmountable, but Narasimha's form, a combination of man and lion, symbolizes the balance between intelligence, man, and strength lion. We must address modern problems with both wisdom and courage, working towards solutions without losing hope. That's a powerful message for today's generations. Before we conclude, what would you say is the most important takeaway from the Narasimha story for the youth of today? For today's youth, the most important takeaway is to maintain resilience in the face of adversity grounded in faith. Narasimha's story tells us that no challenge is too great for divine intervention, but we must also cultivate inner strength, compassion, and commitment to justice. The path of devotion, as shown by Prahlada, is a path of ultimate fulfillment and devotion and protection. By standing up for what is right and maintaining our values, we can navigate the complexities of life just as Prahlada did with the courage and wisdom. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable insights today. It's been a pleasure to learn more about Lord Narasimha and the timeless lessons the story offers. Jai Gurudev, and thank you for having me. May we all find inspiration and strength from Narasimha's divine protection and the message of righteousness and devotion. Jai Gurudev. Jai Gurudev, namaste, and thank you for joining us today. We are honored to speak with you about one of the most fascinating avatars of Lord Vishnu, Lord Narasimha. Could you please begin by telling us about Lord Narasimha and why his incarnation is so important in the context of Hinduism? Jai Gurudev, namaste, and thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Lord Narasimha is one of the most revered avatars of Vishnu, and his incarnation is particularly significant because of his unique nature. Narasimha is depicted as being who is part man and part lion. His form symbolizes the transcendence of ordinary boundaries. It is neither fully human nor fully animal. This embodies the idea that divinity operates beyond human understanding and is present in all forms of life and even in what seems beyond conventional classification. Narasimha incarnated to protect his devotee Prahlad from the tyranny of his father Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu had gained a boon from Lord Brahma that made him nearly invulnerable, yet his cruelty knew no bounds. Prahlada, however, was a devout follower of Vishnu. In this context, Narasimha represents not only divine protection for the devoted, but also the triumph of righteousness over unrighteousness. Could you elaborate on the story of Hiranyakashipu, Prahlad, and the dramatic appearance of Narasimha, and how does it illustrate the divine intervention at a time of crisis? Absolutely, the story of Prahlad and Hiranyakashipu is a profound example of divine justice and intervention. Hiranyakashipu, after receiving a boon from Lord Brahma that made him invulnerable to death, became increasingly arrogant and oppressive. He believed he was a supreme being and commanded that no one should worship Vishnu, who had slain his brother Hiranyakashipu. Despite this, his son Prahlada became a devoted worshipper of Vishnu. Hiranyakashipu tried everything to break his son's faith, even attempting to kill him through various means, poisoning him, throwing him into fire, and sending venomous snakes after him. But Prahlada remained unharmed, protected by Vishnu's grace. The story culminates when Hiranyakashipu, in his rage, confronts Prahlada and asks if Vishnu is present everywhere. Prahlada calmly replies, "Yes, Vishnu is everywhere." Hiranyakashipu then strikes a pillar in frustration, and in that moment, Lord Narasimha emerges from the pillar, a terrifying form neither fully human nor fully animal. Narasimha kills Hiranyakashipu, fulfilling the conditions of his boon, and does so at twilight, the in-between time symbolizing the merging of day and night and life and death. This appearance of Narasimha highlights that the divine acts in ways that transcend human expectations, and that justice will be served even when the forces of evil seem insurmountable. It's such a dramatic story. What do you think are the key lessons we can learn from this story in today's world? Yes, the story of Narasimha is timeless and offers valuable lessons for contemporary life. Firstly, faith and devotion. The unwavering devotion of Prahlada, even in the face of severe adversity, teaches us the power of faith in today's world where we often face distractions and challenges that test our beliefs. But Prahlada's example encourages us to hold firm to our principles and our connection with the divine. Also, divine protection. Narasimha's appearance represents divine intervention during times of crisis. In modern times, when we face personal struggles or societal issues, the story reassures us that we are never alone and there is a divine force watching over us. It teaches us to trust in the higher power and to remain steadfast even when the road ahead seems difficult. Justice prevails. The victory of Narasimha over Hiranyakashipu signifies that no matter how powerful, arrogant evil may be, it will ultimately be brought down by divine justice. In today's world, where we often witness corruption, oppression, and injustice, this story gives us hope that truth and righteousness will eventually triumph. The unexpected nature of divine help. Narasimha's form and the way he emerges from the pillar remind us that the divine intervention may come in forms and ways we do not expect. In times of trouble, we may not always recognize how or when help will come, but the story teaches us to have patience and trust in the divine timing. Narasimha, a combination of lion and human traits, symbolizes the balance of strength and compassion. This lesson is especially important today when we must combine wisdom with courage and to face challenges in personal, social, and professional life. Those are incredibly profound lessons. Are there any modern day parallels to the story of Narasimha and Prahlada, and how can we apply these lessons in current times? Yes, there are several modern day parallels. On a personal level, many individuals face challenges that feel overwhelming, inner conflicts, moral dilemmas, and external obstacles. Narasimha teaches us that, just like Prahlada, we must remain true to our inner values and trust that divine protection will help us navigate difficult times. The fight against internal fears, doubts, and ego can be as difficult as battling external forces, but faith and devotion provide the strength to overcome. In a societal context, the battle between good and evil is constantly unfolding, and whether through systematic injustices, corruption, or the abuse of power, just as Hiranyakaship's tyranny was ultimately vanquished, modern day struggles against injustice and exploitation will eventually see a victory for righteousness, even though it might take time. Narasimha's intervention reassures us that despite the forces of oppression, the world is governed by a higher moral order, and justice will prevail. The form of Narasimha also highlights the importance of adaptability and resourcefulness in times of crisis. Sometimes the solution to a problem is not immediately apparent, but patience, faith, and a willingness to embrace unexpected solutions can lead to divine intervention. Thank you for your enlightening insights. To conclude, what would you say is the most important message that the story of Narasimha offers to today's generations? Yes, the most important message for today's generation is to cultivate faith and resilience in the face of adversity. The story of Narasimha teaches that divine protection, justice, and solutions will come in unexpected forms when needed. It encourages us to be steadfast in our values, trust in the power of the divine, and remember that no matter how overwhelming the circumstances may seem, the ultimate victory lies in truth and righteousness. After all, it reminds us that no force, internal or external, is too strong for the divine to overcome. Thank you so much for sharing these powerful lessons with us. It's been a privilege to learn about Lord Narasimha and the teachings from his avatar. Jai Gurudev, it was my pleasure. May the blessings of Lord Narasimha guide you in your journey toward truth and righteousness. Jai Gurudev.